Hey everyone, Warwick's here. So we're back with our second Geoff Castellucci cover this week. I told you I'd give you two, so here's number two. This one he released just a couple of days ago. I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. Of course, we can already see at the start of the video that we are back to our classic 4Geoff setup. Before we get started into this video, I wanted to kind of hit on a few things here. Number one, just hit 700 subscribers. Thank you very much for joining me on this journey and doing that. Just wanted to mention it again this week. Number two, we're going to start off by going over the credits in terms of stuff like that. But before we get into any and all of that, let's go ahead and discuss me. So for those of you new to the channel, welcome. I appreciate you very much for joining. For those of you veterans of this channel, welcome back. It's good to see you again. I am, my real name is Corey. I just go by that. Works is my online name, so to speak, in all the games and stuff that I've been playing throughout my life. I'm not a professional musician. I'm just a guy that was in percussion in high school, sitting down and, learned music through basically osmosis because I can read drum music, but beyond that, kind of anything else is a little bit out of my scope. I was never into learning music, but I kind of learned like notes, harmonies, melodies, things like that, just through osmosis and talking to people and things like that. So if you're looking for like a nerdy technical breakdown, I'm not going to be your guy. If you want like a nerdy musical composition breakdown, I'll be able to give you a little bit of stuff that I kind of think of but I'm not going to be able to deep dive into it. Lots of other reactors out there that if you want to get into like the nerdy technical aspects of stuff, there are other creators out there that I will strongly recommend. If you want to know who, just leave me a comment and I'll respond with them. Secondly, I know generally the audience of YouTube hates this, but unfortunately, until studies show differently, I'm going to keep saying it, and I'm going to keep doing this, which is to tell you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Studies show that the more I say it, the more likely it is that you are going to actually do it. So, that's not me just making stuff up. That is actual studies that have been done by both YouTube and their own studies to help creators grow, and independent studies that have been done that I've been reading out there as well. So I'm going to tell you to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Tell your friends. Word of mouth, like I said in my last video that I did a reaction on, is sometimes the best way to help a creator grow is to just tell others, hey, go check out his content. Tell me what I really enjoy it. I think you would maybe like it. That sort of stuff is always the best way to do it. So I don't want to spend too much time on it because I hate kind of being like the, hashtag simp for clout type person, but I do want to say it. Something like 85 to 90% of the people that watch any of my videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you find yourself coming back to my videos a lot, watching my reaction videos, because they show up in like your suggested feeds and stuff like that, just scroll down real quick and see if you actually are subscribed. Yes, I do make content around World of Warcraft. Yes, I do stream on here as well. World of Warcraft mainly. Those will be kicking up next week again with the new raid coming out. But you can do sort of personalized notifications so that you are only notified of when my my reaction videos come out. Generally they are Sundays, when I don't forget, like I did this week. Generally they're Sundays at 9 a.m. Central Time, Central Time US, so plus or minus hours as you need to. But sometimes in special months like October, or I'm imagining in December, because there's a lot of releases that come out with Halloween and Christmas themes, that we'll be doing a little bit more, so you can get notified of those releases as well. And then probably starting in January, depending on how things look for me on a number of fronts, we'll go back to the once a week uploads as we can get through them. So that's kind of like the housekeeping stuff that I wanted to talk to you about. So before we get into Geoff's I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, I want to go ahead and go over the credits for this. Of course, follow Geoff on any and all stuff that you are there with. But I just want to give credits because I like doing these. Of course, Geoff did the arranging, producing, filming, performing, and editing. Mixing engineer Ed Boyer, who's been doing work for Geoff and voice play for a long time. His wife Kathy is their production manager, as she has been for a long time. The creative and visuals of everything going on, so I'm assuming the set design and things like that were Geoff and Kathy. So power couple, the voice play power couple, so to speak. And then Lane did a lot of the assistance with filming, lighting, and all of the things. We'll see what all of the things means on this. So I have never seen this video before, so if you are not familiar with how this works, I'm going to watch it all the way through one time, unfettered reaction to it all, and then we'll go back and we'll watch it again, except this time I'll be pausing and doing analysis of the piece, visuals, the music side of things, and talk about the things that I just think are cool. So that's going to be the format for the video. So for those of you that are only here for the reaction, you can stay through the end of that. Those of you here that are here for the breakdowns, we can talk about that afterwards. So, try to give something a little bit to all reaction fans out there and like what they are looking for. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, the low bass singer cover by the king of bass, Geoff Castellucci.
Christmas, just like the ones I used to know, where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow, the snow. Well, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. Well, I'm dreaming, the sun is shining, the grass is green, the orange and palm trees sway. Ain't never been such a day in Beverly Hills, LA. Come on. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. Where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow, the snow. Well, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, with every Christmas card. Well, with every card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. And may all your Christmases be white. And may all your Christmases be
All right.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching, and happy holidays. This video was made possible by all the fine folks over on Patreon, but especially Holger Draco, Debs Badger, Bosa Lagnestall and Dorothy Broom, Carl and Melanie Thomas, Skylar Harris, Emily Zapst, Debbie Goodling, Patricia Skuman.
You're just going through supporting his patrons, which I think is cool. I'll do my Patreon stuff at the end, because I actually just came up with an idea, but we'll talk about it at the end. As far as my reaction to this video goes, this was fun. So earlier this week, on release, I did God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, which I kind of described a lot as like a very like fun new take on the song, where he used very interesting time signatures, very different sense of drive in the song and stuff like that. This song still has a lot of the sort of what I think have become the signature Geoff arrangement beats to it. You know, the multiple Geoffs, the deep bass low notes, which we all expect. But a bunch of little things inside of it too that are very much like kind of Geoff staple pieces. It's like, Marwin and his bell tones. We have Geoff and the sense of drive in these songs. So it's still that there. Visually, this was a really, really fun video. I was actually wondering why at the beginning they were looking like this that I'm showing you on the screen now. And it made sense throughout the rest of the thing. So when I said all the things, I think I get what they were talking about. And when I see creative / visuals that were done by him and Kathy, I think I know what they mean now. So visually, this video was really, really fun. All the other Geoffs were also doing stuff that were really, really fun, but he did some things a little bit differently than the stuff I've seen in his other covers that I really enjoyed as well. So this was a great piece, quite a bit of fun. I actually like this one much more than God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. God Rest You Merry Gentlemen I enjoy because of the fact that I'm a big fan of stuff that tries things that are very different, and with the unique sort of 3/8, 5/8, 7/8 type time signatures that he was doing in that song. That is what makes that enjoyable to me. This is actually much more enjoyable for a very different reason. I think number one, I like the song better, and I think that always helps. But this video, I think, has a lot of really cool things going for it from a visual perspective, but also some really interesting things that happen musically that I don't recall seeing in Geoff covers that I've done. Probably in some stuff that I haven't looked up, that I haven't watched over deeply of his as of yet, but some really cool stuff. So if you're only here for the reaction, it's a little bit of a longer video for you, a little about 11.5 minutes as I look at my recording time. So I appreciate you sticking around through the kind of housekeeping stuff and then the reaction itself. So I hope you enjoyed it. Like, share, subscribe again. But for those of you that are sticking around to nerd out, why don't we go ahead and get into it? So right off the start, like I said, I thought this was an interesting visual choice with just kind of the gray t-shirts, the back walls with just the lights. The stools are kind of neat. I almost kind of want some for like my kid to go sit and spin on, but probably not safe for him to do, but whatever. So let's get right into it and go from there. So right off the beginning, actually, there's a couple things that I found really interesting about sort of his choice and arrangement. Is still starts off with the oo vowels, oohs or ums, almost the entire every single cover I've covered. Oohs or ums are usually the first sound that come out of the accompanying Geoffs. Here, of course, it was with everybody into the ah sounds. But what I found interesting is the right two Geoffs are definitely your bass Geoffs, and then your left two Geoffs are more of your baritone tenor Geoffs. But there were some really interesting harmonic choices, as we had like deep bass, middle bass, baritone, and then the tenor at the top going with the high notes, which is something that I think is really cool. Usually the other three Geoffs fit into like tenor 1, tenor 2 baritone range, and then lead line Geoff, which is this one here, is usually the only bass. He's kind of changed that up a little bit in his last couple of songs with Ghostwriters. We saw Far Right Geoff was in that of the Ghost Geoffs, was a bass as well, did some bass line singing as well. So he's starting to make some tweaks to that and showing off, that letting the other Geoffs, so to speak, show more of a range other than kind of being these harmonic inclusions. So I think that's really interesting. That caught me off guard because I know like the song has the kind of that, not quite as low bass, but kind of a bass line done in almost any version of the song that you hear. So it just caught me off guard though. Like I should have seen it coming, but for whatever reason in that moment, you probably saw me jerk back. It's because it just caught me off guard.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
Really enjoyed the piano in the background as well. Geoff's known for his individual covers of adding actual music instruments into them, and here he chooses to go with piano, which I think is perfect for this song. Love the 2 and second and fourth beat snaps that are being done by all the Geoffs, except for the one singing, which is just the tap of his leg to help keep the tempo. So pretty neat stuff going on there. From a musical standpoint, we get kind of those upward slides that Geoff likes to do a lot. He does a really good job of like stretching out and holding his notes and being very clean with them. But if you notice in a lot of Geoff covers, in almost every single one, at least that I've covered, there's been some sort of slide up, whether it's an extended slide up or whether it's just like a quick slide up. He does them in almost every cover, so that's one of the Geoff signatures that we're seeing in this, along with the ums or oohs at the start of the song.
Where the treetops glisten and children listen to hear.
What I really appreciate is that when the tree and the record player come in, you can kind of see the other Geoffs reacting to it, which adds like a layer of like verisimilitude into it. So you have this willing suspension of disbelief is what verisimilitude means. Basically, you're willing to buy into the fact that there's four dudes sitting here and they're all kind of seeing this stuff happen too, even though we know it's basically all getting either green screened in or whatever the case may be, for however they decided to do it. Like, practically what you're seeing isn't possible, but because these Geoffs are reacting to it as if it's actually happening, it helps you buy into the idea of the video itself, which I think is really smart editing, and I think it's a very clever idea that I'd like to see more in acapella videos that utilize backdrops and stuff like that, where they kind of interact with the backdrop or the setting that they're in a lot more, because it just adds a level of like depth to the video itself and makes them more interesting, in my opinion.
And children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow.
You can see it right there with that Geoff seeing the ornaments come up. This Geoff look back at the record player. Just a bunch of little stuff that I think is it's a really cool attention to detail that I enjoy.
The snow.
Really like that low note. I don't know if see, it's RTS in the comments. Yes, he is. So we were at 50 seconds or so. D2 in chest. Yeah, and then a breathy G1 at the end. I thought it might have been a D1, but yeah, the G1 chest at 146. Yeah, we're going to talk about that when we get there. I really enjoy this. Obviously, the costume change almost happens kind of snap, though, if you look at it. Okay, so it kind of fades in, kind of snap happens. But I think it's really cool, and again, I appreciate them like looking at the new outfits and stuff as they're going into this next section. Again, it's just that keen eye to detail that just makes the video visually pleasing.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas with every Christmas.
I really appreciate this Geoff being like, why do I get just the white sweater? This man's wearing flannel. This guy's got a Burberry scarf.
Christmas card I write. May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright. And may all your Christmases be white.
Alright, let's see what that note was at 119, 120, A1. Okay. Yeah. A1 in chest, like, it's ridiculous his low chest range right now.
I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming. The sun is shining the grass.
Appreciate that the gifts show up and they don't really point them out, although this face right here just gets me. Like it.
Is green, the orange and palm trees sway.
I like musically here how we've had like our really flowing like sleigh ride style, the very smooth, and then right here we get in the background with the musicals with the piano and the drum set. It's a little bit more staccato, a little bit more shortened out. Just adds a nice little bit of new flavor to the song. So I really like that from the arrangement standpoint. It kind of like one of the things that a lot of songs can do if they're not careful is they tend to stick to one style. So early in the song, like if we go back here just like 54 seconds, minute 38, we'll mark that. But if you come back here and if you listen, like everything's very connected, every legato, for those of you that know the music terms, and it's nice, but it, if you go a full like 3 minutes of this stuff, like it's gonna get repetitive and it can help kind of tune you out.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
So you kind of hear right there how even like in the piano, everything, yes, it's hitting specific notes, but it's got also chords going in the background that are connecting all these like impacted sort of accented notes. And, the drum set itself has always got something going, whether it's, just the triplet Don't know if you could hear that or not, but that type melodies where there's something always kind of going on. Whereas if we come back to the 130, let's go to 135 mark. Listen in the background at the piano and the drums in particular.
Engine palm tree sway. Ain't never been such a day. In Beverly Hills, LA. Come on.
Okay. So there's that, what was that? Yeah, the G1 that he just hit the like we've seen him hit G1s. We don't talk about Bruno, he hit a couple of them. He's done D1s in Reigns of Castamere, so just a nice little powerful G1 in the chest that just hits you out of nowhere, just punches you in the face, and as RTS said, it rattles you through the skull. Very, very slim. But what I wanted to get back to the original point was you kind of heard through that little section there from about 135 to 145 for that 10 seconds that the background, everything felt more staccato. It just added enough of a switch musically that even though you may not always notice it, your brain still interprets it as there's something slightly different about the song. And they kind of changed up the singing style to go with it. If you notice, kind of again going back about 20 seconds, listen to what they're doing here and then listen to what comes right after it.
I'm dreaming. The sun is shining, the grass is green, the orange and palm trees sway. Ain't never been such a day. In Beverly Hills, LA. Come on.
So you notice there at the end, I just had to hear the G1 again. But you notice, like at the very beginning of that, they were all like, again, very connected, very harmony. And then in the second side, there was not as much stretching out of your notes. And some, obviously, at the end of lines in particular, but for the most part, they didn't stretch out notes. They were a little bit shorter, a little bit more staccato. Again, not like a very harsh change, but just a smidge of a change that kind of keeps you engaged in a way without ever you realizing it. It's a very almost mind trick thing to do. I really, really enjoy it. We're going to hear that G1 one more time, and then we'll keep going.
Beverly Hills, LA. Come on. Dreaming of a white.
And it allows for the transition here where everything else is a lot more staccato. So, like, instead of making that harsh switch from legato to this type of staccato, which can be jarring, they kind of subtly moved into it, which I think is really smart arranging. And I really enjoy the fact that he thinks of something like that. It tries to make his progression to a different style or a different approach to the song transition and make sense to most people's, to both like the nerds like me that like to study this sort of thing and also someone that just enjoys the music for what it is.
Christmas, just like the ones I used to know. Like the ones I used to know. Where the treetops glisten and children listen until they hear sleigh bells in the snow. The snow.
So cool visual at the end there with the cards and the gift there. But what I really enjoyed about this section was the fact that we got to hear Geoff's upper range take a lead line on its own. It's not common that happens. Usually when there's higher voices going on when Geoff's remixes, it's usually because of harmonies going on. It's very kind of rare, at least in the covers that I've done, keep that in mind, that his kind of tenor type range voice gets to lead a solo line for a little bit. I found that really cool that he kind of, I don't know if he recognized it in studying his own clips or if he just probably just felt right when he was arranging it. But for someone that watches all of his music and watches it a lot, it's nice to kind of get this little flick of the switch that allows you to have something different for someone that is an ardent fan of his music. Just something a little bit different for us to be like, oh, I don't think he's done that in a while or at all. So just a way to help keep the viewer engaged, and probably for him, from an arrangement standpoint, it kind of takes his signature style and modifies it just slightly enough that it's pleasant to hear. So just wanted to point that out. I really appreciate that he did that from the arrangement standpoint. Also like what happens here visually over the next 10 seconds, obviously with the cards fading in and stuff like that, looking like card tricks and the one gift, and Geoff on the right sitting there being like, wait, what? Watch him on the right if you haven't seen him already.
I'm dreaming of a white.
I love that. I also appreciate that the other three Jeffs are just still singing, and you're like, yeah, whatever, man. You just, yeah, sure. You just kind of looking this way at him, and you're like, yeah. Sorry, I forget the camera's reversed. I was looking that way all the time, but it's this way for you guys, not for me. Yeah, but they were looking to their left and just being like, just singing. And then he finds it in the inner pocket of his coat, which I thought was, it's funny. I really appreciate it. I found that amusing. It's a way to keep everything a little bit light. And more decorations popping up in the background, not being interacted with by the Jeffs because they're focused more on the song at this point. But lots of little things that just kind of keep you peeking and being like, oh, was that just there a few seconds ago? Oh, was that just there a few seconds ago? So I really like that they're still continuing to do that in a way that, as a viewer of the video, like I can listen to the song all day and just be fine. But like as a viewer of the video, it's a good way to kind of be like, hey, when did that get there? When did that get there? And it makes you want to rewind and go find it. Just appreciate that.
Every card I write, may your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright. And
Teased you the low note there, didn't he? You were waiting for it, weren't you? With merry and bright, something like that, and he didn't do it. It's the classic Geoff tease. He's gonna tease you first, and then he's gonna drop it. That was the tease, in my opinion.
may all your Christmases be white.
Also, just a fun little side note. It says, the song says, "May all your Christmases be white," dude. I live in a section of the United States that never gets snow, so I don't know what white Christmases are like. I've never gone out on Christmas Day after opening presents and like played in the snow, because everywhere I've lived, it rarely, if ever, snows. Like right now, I think it's 70 degrees outside where I'm at. Everything is still green with the exception of a few trees that have started losing leaves and stuff. So like, this song always is slightly offensive because like, it's kind of true. I just want one Christmas or one December where it snows where I'm at, but I think because of global weather conditions, I will not see that in my lifetime. So this song is true because I do dream of white Christmases, whereas a lot of you probably are getting snow right now, and you're like, God, please, 70 degrees and green leaves and stuff would be great. It's just funny how, to me, it's funny how like people are like, oh God, I can't wait for it to be 70 degrees again. And I'm sitting here like, dude, I can't wait for it to be 40 again. Like I want cold weather, and everyone else is like, give me warm weather. It's just great. Depends on where you live, on how you feel about that, but it's amusing to me. And don't forget the Southern Hemisphere, which are in summer right now. Okay, 246. What is that RTS? 245. Another G1. And then I get the G1 at the end. Yeah, so Geoff's G1s are like, thinking about all the ones that I knowingly know about. The two here, the one at the end we're about to get, and the ones from, I know we don't talk about. Bruno had two of them. God, his G1s and chest just are so clean, and it's kind of ridiculous. Also, again, he teased you. He teased you twice, which is another little bit of a tweak to his sort of signature arranging style. Usually he teases you once and then he drops the low note. Here he decided to tease you with starting on it, and then he slides up. Again, another peak Geoff arrangement thing, and then hits you with the G1 at the end, which is, so he teases you twice here, which again is a little bit of a twist on his sort of classic arrangement style that if you watch enough Geoff videos, you kind of come to expect. And he played with your expectations a little bit, which I love. You know me, I love getting my expectations blown out of the way and being wrong, so to speak.
And may all your Christmases be white.
Really appreciate the up and down at the end there to get to that G1 at the end, the breathy G1 in chest. Really just like that, and I really appreciate the fact that he did that. So I don't really have any breakdown for it. I just like that he did it. I think it's a cool way to finish the song. So that's the end of the video, guys. I really enjoyed this one. I'm glad that I am going to cover it. Upcoming on Sunday, we're going to hit Voice Play's latest Christmas release, and then I want some Pentatonic songs. I've heard Pentatonic does some really, really good Christmas music, and I want to get into their rabbit hole a little bit for next month, because I want to make January Pentatonics month. So let me look at the calendar. Is January 1st on a Sunday? Yes, it is. So I will probably record sometime that week and then still do a New Year's release. And I might release it. I might actually put it out earlier in the day. I might record it and then upload it at like, and have it released at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning my time. So just after midnight my time. So that those of you in Europe can get it a little bit earlier in your day, depending on where you live. Could be anywhere between, I think England is 6 hours ahead. So that'd be like 7, 8 in the morning. Those of you a little bit further east into Europe, maybe closer to lunchtime, I think at the farthest end of Eastern Europe. So depending on where you live, you could have it there. But that's kind of the plan. It's my first Pentatonics video will be done at around, will be released a little bit earlier for New Year's Day. And then the rest of us are going to, we'll get back into the regular ones. But so, anyways, comments below, definitely give me pentatonic songs, both Christmas ones and other ones that you think that I would really enjoy. Give me pentatonic songs in the comments below. Tell me what you think about this one in particular as well. I love the engagement. I love seeing what you guys think out. More information, you guys that are members of the Patreon and stuff always bring me some cool information that I didn't know about before. So bring all of that into the comments. And again, like, share, and subscribe. Speaking of Patreon, I actually do have one. I'll probably link it in the description. But the idea that I just kind of came up with is I might do some non-acapella music breakdown. So my background is in like marching band, drumline and stuff like that. So I think I might do some videos where I just simply break down some percussion stuff, or I break down some marching band stuff, or sort of more like sort of marching band style music, and just kind of talk about the things that I think about are cool with that. May not be like, they may just be audio files. I may not do videos on them because like unless there's uncut, like I know some performances have like commentary over them. I don't want to find those, but if I could find like just raw footage of like DCI or something like that, I'll probably do those on Patreon. And I thought about making those Patreon only videos. So if you're interested in me doing a completely different style of music, let me know in the comments below, or you go to my Patreon, which I'll link in the description below. I have a couple of different tiers. I think I have $1, $3, and $5 now. I'll probably make it available for the $3 and $5 tiers. If you're interested in that, sub to the Patreon, let me know in the comments, anything like that, and I'll see what I can do to make those happen. So until the next video, I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you're enjoying yourself, you're having fun, you're listening to great music, and I will see you all in the next video.